friends, what was your last blood pressure? Was it just a little high, or maybe high enough to scare you? This was my friend's blood pressure before, and this is her blood pressure now. Now, what changed wasn't a perfect diet or a magic food or just cutting salt. What changed was what most people miss. She found food replacements. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to show you 10 blood pressure lowering food replacements that helped her keep going, even when life got busy. My name is Dr. Lou, and I have been a double board certified physician for 25 plus years. You'll be surprised how one of these foods may sound too simple to matter, but missing it could be the reason why people keep struggling with their blood pressure. In fact, most people ask, what do I need to remove? Not realizing that the missing link is, what has my body been missing? So let's stop focusing only on taking things away and start focusing on how to truly help your arteries relax, your kidneys release extra sodium and fluid, improve your insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, and give your body the essential minerals and fiber it has been missing for years. Now, the best part about natural solutions is that it helps to keep you full and helps your body release extra fluid, and most importantly, start filling what I call your health savings bank. Because every meal puts you in debt or deposits health. Now, number one are lentils. If you've ever eaten lentils at an Indian or Pakistani restaurant, you know that lentils are so tasty with spices. Lentils are one of the best blood pressure lowering foods because it gives you potassium, magnesium, fiber, protein, and slow digesting carbohydrates all in one food. Now, the best part about it is that they are super easy to make, roughly like 15 minutes on the stovetop, boiled in water, and you can add it to any sauce. Now, for long-term success, lower blood pressure can't be achieved by just one chemical, but many different nutrients working together, and that's the reason why we need to eat whole foods. Now, in fact, when you add spices to your lentils, you triple, quadruple the anti-inflammatory power of that food, depending on how many spices you put. Now, you know how easy it is to just add a pinch of this and a pinch of that. So here's a simple curry lentil recipe. That's one of my favorite ways to eat lentils. Now, the whole recipe takes roughly 5 minutes to prep. And of course, you have to cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now, if you don't have that time, use red lentils. They cook in 15 to 20 minutes. And if you want it softer or stew-like, well, cook it longer, maybe an extra 10 minutes. Now, if you use brown or green lentils, that's about 25 to 30 minutes. Now, if you think about it, it'll probably take you an hour to go to the store, order your food, wait for that food to be cooked, and then drive home with it. It's really not that convenient, but the worst part of modern foods is that they may look complete, but they aren't because they actually worsen insulin resistance, they make you gain weight, and inflammation, which all makes your arteries stiffer and harder. Now, we really need to change the definition of food. Something that doesn't add to your health savings bank, but taxes it instead, is not food. It's like eating paper. It's edible, but is it food? And when you eat whole foods like lentils, you give your body a very different message. You start building your health savings bank. You get your kidneys to release the sodium and the water. You help your blood vessels relax. And you know how it does that? Through the power of potassium. Lentils are high in potassium. And here's another bonus. They can be turned into bread, pancakes, and wraps to give you different textures and looks. Unlike modern day breads, lentils actually prevent you from overeating food. Now, breads are often full of chemicals with sodium and sugar that make you hungrier, which end up making you eat more than you should, to make you gain more weight than you should, and to keep your blood pressure up. But if you actually made bread with lentils, they actually help you feel fuller for longer because they are high in protein and high in fiber. And another issue is when you are not full, you are much more likely to reach for salty processed snacks later. That just elevates your blood pressure, elevates your weight, and your insulin resistance. But lentils, they can create a healthy domino effect, like interest growing in your bank. They help with fullness. They reduce the snacking, which all reduce sodium intake, which can support your weight control, which can reduce inflammation, which all help reduce blood pressure and to keep it normal. You can make lentil soup, lentil curry, lentil pasta, lentil tacos, and even blend red lentils into a creamy soup. Now, the best part is that lentils cook faster than many beans, so that this is really not a complicated or difficult to prepare food. This is one of the foods that I would call a blood pressure foundation food. Now, often I cook my lentils in broth and eat them like rice. If you add garlic, onions, basil, and tomato sauce, it becomes a delicious sauce for spaghetti or on top of rice. But before we move on, here's the part that I think people don't realize. When you eat food, it will come with instructions, specifically to talk to your immune systems, but of course, for your organs. And the end result are objective markers like blood pressure, weight, insulin levels, blood sugar, cholesterol levels, and other inflammatory markers. So what kind of instructions are you eating? This is why lentils are so powerful. They give your body instructions on what to do with other nutrients that are already in your body. You see, lentils, because they're packed with potassium, it actually gives your body instructions to get rid of the excess sodium trapping in fluid. And in addition, the fiber, the magnesium, the slow carbohydrates, and the protein, they give your body instructions to reduce inflammation. Now, besides the potassium talking to your kidneys, fiber talks to your gut. Magnesium talks to your blood vessels to relax, and the slow carbohydrates protect your insulin. And of course, protein contributes to fullness. All of these nutrients lower blood pressure together even more. But when these nutrients are missing, your body will stay in a processed food environmental instruction stage that encourages fluid retention, inflammation, and vascular stiffness. Remember, every food sends a message. Processed food gives the instructions to hold sodium, hold fluid, inflame, and tighten. Lentils release, relax, recover. And that's how I want you to think about blood pressure lowering food. So number 2 is chew on crunchy raw vegetables like carrots, celery, cucumbers, bell peppers, snap peas. Now I know raw vegetables, they just sound too simple. But that is exactly why they work. They are crunchy, full of water, they are low in calories, and they take time to chew. Therefore, they help you replace the texture of chips and crackers and pretzels and other salty snacks. Raw vegetables also bring potassium and fiber. And remember, fiber helps with fullness, your gut health, cholesterol, insulin sensitivity, and weight control. But weight control is not separate from blood pressure. Therefore, even a modest amount of weight loss can improve your blood pressure. Potassium is important because it helps balance sodium. But many people get sodium from snacks and miss potassium from plants. Therefore, if you are hungry between meals, do not start with a protein bar or a bag of chips. Start with a bowl of crunchy vegetables with something blood pressure friendly, like a bowl of hummus, maybe a white bean dip or lentil spread, instead of a typical salad dressing. And did you know that the more you chew your food, you are to feel full sooner? Chewing helps release satiety hormones that tell your brain you've eaten enough. But constant snacking and overeating at one sitting are major contributors to weight gain. Therefore, crunchy vegetables are not just a side dish. They're convenient with almost no prep except for you washing them. You don't even have to cut them if you're eating them by themselves. They can be eaten at any time, day or night, and they are a strategy for health savings. So number 3 are chickpeas. Chickpeas are another food that does many jobs at once. They give you fiber, potassium, magnesium, protein, and resistant starch. But their real power is that they can replace higher sodium, higher fat foods because they can be eaten creamy, salty, or creamy and sweet. Ever heard of hummus? Here's one of the simplest gourmet hummus recipes. The key is to blend your hummus with ice cubes. How about something sweet? Have you ever had chocolate hummus? Well, here's another recipe. You can eat chickpeas, again, in soups and salads and curry and roasted as a crunchy snack made by your own homemade hummus that will cost you quarters compared to buying store-bought hummus. Garbanzo beans are super convenient. You can find them at any supermarket. But buy low sodium to no salt added garbanzo beans when possible and rinse them well. Rinsing can help reduce the salt. It can also help wash away some particles from the canning liquid. Now, if you are trying to lower your blood pressure, what you eat with the chickpeas is just as important. I see a lot of chickpea snacks on the market, And I know they're super tasty, but the problem is many of them have too much salt, saturated fat like coconut oil, or sugar. And sometimes they contain emulsifiers. Therefore, you got to be careful. They may look healthy and be expensive, but they may not be so healthy. Keep it simple, folks, and that'll keep it cheap. Make your own in the oven or air fryer for a fraction of the price and season them with the anti-inflammatory spices. By the way, if you find values in my videos, could you please check if you're subscribed? When you like, comment, and subscribe, it actually helps my videos reach other people. And if you are subscribed, thank you very much for joining me to change the world. Now, number 4 is one of my favorite fruits, watermelon. Watermelon is mostly water, but it also contains potassium and an amino acid called citrulline. Now, citrulline can be converted by your body into arginine, and arginine helps your body make nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of those molecules that helps you relax your blood pressure because it relaxes your arteries. But watermelon isn't magic. By itself, it can't be powerful enough to counteract the foods that keep your blood pressure elevated. Therefore, it's important to think of watermelon as a replacement food. Watermelon can replace desserts, candies, sweet drinks, and salty snacks. It gives you hydration, sweetness, potassium, citrulline, without any more added sugar. Now, if you have diabetes, it's important to understand that fruit is not the enemy for people, but fruit should replace less healthy foods made from refined flour, sugar, and fat. And when fruit does that, or when fruit displaces cookies, candy, pastries, sodas, and salty snacks, it can help you to normalize your health markers, including your hemoglobin A1C and blood sugars, your blood pressure, your weight, and your metabolic health.
Hi, friends. I am so thrilled that you want to take charge of your health and take charge of your food. Now, I know nutrition can be complex, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to support you in this lifelong journey. So if you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you. And if you like it, if you want to see other handouts, please go to the link in my show notes, and then you can leave me your feedback on what I could do to help you in your journey. Okay, back to the video now.
Now, number 5 are raisins. Raisins are concentrated fruit because the water's gone, so portion does matter. They're not low calories like grapes, but they still can be useful when you're in a rush and you can't find fresh fruit. Think about it. Real life choices are grabbing raisins and walnuts or grabbing cookies, candies, and chips and pastry, right? Which one is healthier? Of course, it's raisins. It has potassium. It has resveratrol, has natural sweetness and fiber. They are portable, shelf-stable, and easy to keep in a bag or car. So remember that they're concentrated more so than grapes because it's missing the water. So you want to pair them with other things like nuts or oatmeal or high fiber foods. It's ideal to eat real food and to eat it low sodium, not to eat it with refined flour and sugar. Now, number 6 is nitrate-rich vegetables. This is one of the most important categories for blood pressure that people miss. Nitrate-rich vegetables, they help your body make nitric oxide. And nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and open. You cannot store nitric oxide. These foods include beets, beet greens, arugula, spinach, Swiss chard, celery, lettuce, bok choy, and other leafy greens. And if you're having high blood pressure, you're probably not eating enough of these. But this is very different from processed meats like lunch meats with nitrates. You can find that in the deli section, even if it's gourmet or naturally made with celery juice. The problem is what the nitrates are there with. Because when nitrates sit with protein, it becomes a carcinogenic compound called nitrosamines. And that's a real problem. It's really the packaging of the nitrates that is so critical to determine whether it's a health food or a harmful food. Vegetable nitrates come packaged with antioxidants, vitamin C, potassium, magnesium, and fiber. That food matrix matters. Vegetables are also low in protein, so they're not going to be forming nitrosamines like animal meat. But here's another key point. Your mouth bacteria help you convert nitrate to nitrite, which then makes nitric oxide. But if you're constantly using some strong antibacterial mouthwash that kills 99.9% of germs, you're going to destroy that pathway. Therefore, when you eat your leafy greens, the most important part that people miss are that the nitrates can be gotten from other sources. Dietary nitrates from vegetables have been linked to vascular benefits including blood pressure reduction. And beetroot has been the best studied vegetable yet. Therefore, it's good to aim for nitrate-rich vegetables, to eat them regularly, multiple times a day. Number 7, try some ground flaxseed. Flaxseeds is one of my favorite go-to items to upgrade any meal, savory or sweet. Sprinkle it on foods and you get yourself a powerful blood pressure lowering anti-inflammatory blend with an array of nutrients that includes fibers, lignans, magnesium, and omega-3 fats. But the best part about this is that you can take these flax seeds anywhere. Just grind them up before you take them. It can't be whole flax seeds because you probably won't digest them and they'll just go through your system. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed to use with oatmeal, smoothies, soups. They're delicious. And you can also use it as a binder or egg substitute for baking, like my whole food carrot cake. Now here's my favorite recipe. You basically grate carrots, oats, dates for sweetness. You blend it with a bunch of beans. You add cinnamon, ginger, ground flax seeds, walnuts to taste and texture. And if you want to fluff up your cake, you can add some baking soda and baking powder. If you don't care, then remove it. I'd be cautious not to use anything with aluminum though. The body doesn't need aluminum and it can potentially be a bad toxin. Keep in mind when you're adding baking soda, you're actually adding sodium, even though it doesn't taste salty. So remove the baking soda and baking powder if someone is sodium sensitive, because sodium bicarbonate and sodium containing leavening agents, they will add sodium to elevate blood pressure. Now, if you remove them, you can use bicarbonated water instead to help lighten the cake, or you can make it more like a dense bar. And if you put it in the refrigerator, it's going to be more moist and sweet the day after. Now, flax seeds, they don't look like much, and they really don't taste like anything, but they provide significant reductions in systolic and diastolic blood pressure numbers amongst people with high blood pressure. Therefore, this is one of the strongest foods on the list. Number 8 are beet juice, but you got to use the right amount. Beet juice is actually really powerful. It is concentrated in dietary nitrates. And some blood pressure studies have found about 250 milliliters a day, which is about a cup is what you need. It may not taste so great, but they are powerful, powerful blood pressure lowering foods. However, more is not always better. Therefore, if you want to start smaller, half a cup is a reasonable dose, especially if you're already eating other vegetables and nitrate-rich vegetables especially. Now, beet juice may help blood vessels relax through nitric oxide. However, if you have kidney stones, that may contribute to it if you're overdoing on the beet juice. Beet juice can also turn your urine or stool red, which can scare some people. So just be sure to expect it. Don't panic after that happens, but still see your doctor just to make sure. Oh, and one more thing, don't add any sugar. Beet juice is already pretty naturally sweet. But a day isn't going to do it, right? These clinical studies have people on beet juice for about 4 weeks. And the best thing about beet juice is that it's so common. You can find it in many, many supermarkets. Now, if you can't find it, just boil some beets. You can even eat them raw. Now, number 9 is arugula. Arugula is peppery, a little bitter, a little sharp, and that flavor is a clue that that plant is rich in plant compounds. It is also one of those leafy greens known to be high in nitrate. But the beauty of arugula is that you don't have to cook it. You can put it under beans on top of lentil soup inside a wrap mixed with pasta, blend it into pesto, or add it to a smoothie if your family refuses to chew the greens. Now, I love arugula because it makes taste more fun, more interesting. That peppery taste really stimulates my taste buds without needing more salt or sugar. How about trying arugula with lemon, vinegar, beans, potatoes, or whole grains, and build yourself a plate that supports nitric oxide production, potassium balance, fiber, and weight control all at once. In my family, we eat arugula every day. My kids actually prefer arugula over simple lettuce. But the two combined is pretty tasty too. And sometimes I'll mix butter lettuce, basil, cilantro, and arugula together, which are all high in plant compounds. They're all plants. And if you boil some beets, chop them up and put it on top of that salad, oh, I'm sure it would be delicious. Now, you can also shave your beets and then bake them until, or really you're drying them out to get them a little crispier. And you can add them to your salad so that your salads don't have to be so boring. Maybe some raisins, lentils, carrots, celery, cucumbers, beets. You suddenly have a plate full of potassium, fiber, nitrates, texture, sweetness, and crunch. And sometimes I will take vegetables and turn them into dressings. For example, if you blend 1 large chopped carrot, 1 small apple, make sure it's cored, 1 or 2 dates, make sure it's de-seeded, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar or a tablespoon of lemon juice or yuzu juice, and then 1 to 2 teaspoons of a low sodium miso and a small piece of fresh ginger. Oh, don't forget a small clove of garlic, a tablespoon of sesame seeds or tahini, 2 to 4 tablespoons of water to thin the dressing. You blend this all up, pour it over your vegetables, and you will have a delicious ginger carrot dressing. Get creative. All your sauces can be super nutritious. I know some people just don't like raw vegetables, and in some countries, eating raw vegetables can increase the risk of infections or parasites because their water supply is contaminated. Therefore, it is always super important to wash your vegetables in clean water. You run it under water and you rub it to remove surface dirt and maybe some pesticides and pollutants. But if the water itself is contaminated, then that would add to the dirt in your vegetables, even though you can't see it. Use clean water whenever possible. Discard damaged leaves. Soak and swish your leafy greens. And if you want a sturdier vegetable, try kale. That thing you can rub. If you soak your fruits and vegetables in baking soda, you can actually remove some of the pesticide residue. I mix about a teaspoon of baking soda with 2 cups of cold water and soak it for about 10 to 15 minutes. Just keep in mind with soft produce like strawberries, that fruit can absorb some of the baking soda or salt, and it significantly will change your flavor. So don't soak your stuff too long, folks. Rinse and try to dry everything afterwards. Now this brings us to number 10. Cooked vegetables. They're actually absolutely okay, and some are even better with more nutrients if you cook it. Because the heat actually releases certain nutrients, and then if you put the oil, it releases more nutrients that are fat soluble. Now the thing is, Americans eat little to no vegetables, and many people think a fiber supplement will do the trick. But what they don't realize is that they are leaving on the table critical nutrients, nitric oxide support, potassium, magnesium, of course, the hydration, the water, and the fiber, and other plant compounds that we can't name all of them because we don't know all of them. They all help to reduce inflammation and your blood pressure. And the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is just to start with adding, build more vegetables. Every family struggles with vegetables. That's the hardest thing to do. And if you start first with that, then you can start working on other aspects of your diet. Sometimes just sneak the vegetables into soups and sauces or lentils and pastas. So instead of just giving up because your family won't eat that steamed broccoli, use some strategy. Shave your broccoli crowns so it's so little, tiny specks that there's no way they can pick it out. You can dice vegetables so small that it's so hard to see. You can even hide them in your baking, right? If you made the carrot cake out of lentils, you can chop it up and hide it, like the carrot cake effect. And another way I hide them is in my smoothies. I make kale blueberry smoothie, and it hides the kale very well. So it works really well when you mix a high fiber vegetable with a soluble fiber food. Remember, the goal is not to win the argument about vegetables. Let's face it. Sometimes you and I are struggling to get our vegetables in. The goal is actually to get the body to release sodium, feed your gut microbiome, and improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce your inflammation, and support your blood pressure for long-term health. Therefore, if you want to lower your blood pressure naturally, do not just ask, what do I need to remove? You should ask instead, what I need to add back. Adding lentils, crunchy vegetables, and chickpeas, and watermelon, and even raisins. When you eat them, they are not just portable, convenient food. They're nitrate-rich foods. But we know you only have so much time in a day to chew. And so it really is important to know which exactly are the healthiest one for you to eat. And if you want to learn more about that, watch the next video.